guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy. If you are new, hello, welcome. How are you guys doing? I know I didn't upload a video last Thursday. Work has just been really crazy that I just didn't have the time to sit down, record, and edit a video for you guys. So I do apologize for missing last Thursday. But in today's video, I am going to talk to you guys about some scary experiences that I have encountered in Mexico. So it's a story time. They're not too like crazy, I guess, scary like some of like my parents' stories that they have told me, but they were definitely scary to me. They were very real. I didn't just, make them up. So if you guys want to keep watching and find out what scary experiences I have encountered, okay, let's get started into the story time. Excuse my hair. I'm having bad hair day. Also, if you hear me munching, I'm just eating some hot Cheetos. So before I get into it, I want to give you guys my understanding or what I believe in and what I don't believe in, like related to ghosts or like demons or spirits. So I am a firm believer, just how there is a God, there's a devil. There's so much bad in the world, so much evil, that I do believe that some spirits still roam us, whether it be because they have unfinished business that they're trying to get done to move on to the afterlife, or just bad people, like when they died, their spirits just don't want to leave and they taunt either their loved ones or other people. I do believe in that. I don't really like to watch like scary movies just for the fact that I believe that all that is very real. Witchcraft is real. There's been known to, like, my mom has told me and my dad especially have told me stories about in Mexico how there was like witches. Maybe there still are. I don't know. I don't mess with that. I don't mess with like dolls because if they come to life, like it's an evil spirit. I don't know. I just don't mess with that. I'm like I said, there's so much evil in the world that why am I gonna go and search for some more, like why am I gonna put myself in that situation? So I just don't mess with that because that shit is so real that I'm like, no, I don't fuck with you, right? Let's get started into story time. So the story time, the timeline happened, it had to be summer of 2017 in June, because I specifically remember that it was just my mom and I that went to Mexico this time around. My siblings didn't want to go with us, which also I think had to do with it being in the summertime, because the houses down there aren't like the ones in the US. Like they don't have ceiling fans, they don't have AC. So in the summertime in Mexico, it gets really hot. And before, we would go to Mexico in the summertime before switching to December, and we're like, how could we survive? Like, how could we do this all the time? And like my family and I are not big fans of the heat. Like my siblings like just don't like it, so they decided not to go with us. So me and my mom flew out, and we obviously got there. We were so excited to see family, and I remember specifically it was so hot the day we arrived. So we got there, we said hi to like my grandma, my aunts, we were all excited, we were happy. And then one of my uncles from Chicago was actually there that same time that we were there, but they were only there for a week, and me and my mom went for 3 weeks. So we got to see my uncle for a little while. I literally like went with him everywhere because like he would like to go out, and my mom didn't. She just stayed with my grandma since it was the first week that we were there. She just wanted to see her mom and spend time with her, which is understandable. So I'm like, okay, uncle, I'm coming with you. So that's what we did. And after he left, I still had 2 more weeks, and my cousins at this time were still in school. Their school period went until the end of June and sometimes the beginning of July, and I had been done since May. So I was left at home by myself throughout the day, and then they would come home in the evening, and then we would just chill or whatever. So every night was kind of the same. There was nothing really like out of the ordinary until one particular night. This freaked me out, and I still remember that it gives me chills because it happened, and it definitely freaked me out because I had never encountered anything like this. I had never experienced anything like that. So it definitely made me scared. So I'm gonna give you guys the little layout of the house because that's where it happened. So at this time, my mom had not built her home yet. So every time we visited my grandma, we had to stay at her house, which was fine, and she was fine with it. So my grandma had her home. So her home now compared to then is very different. She has done a lot of more remodeling, but at the time she had 2 guest bedrooms, her room, and then my grandpa's room, but then that got changed into like a living area, so she changed it up. So there could have been 3 guest bedrooms, but she obviously made that into like a living, like her fine china, like a table, just in case more people came, she could seat them somewhere, right? So when you walk in the door, and the door over there is not like the door, like a normal door. It's made out of metal, but it only goes halfway, and then the other half is glass, so you can see like in and out. So like when it's pitch black, you can see outside, which that's kind of freaky, right? But like my grandma's house has oh, excuse me. So my grandma's home, how she has it built is she has brick walls around her property, around her land. So like you're still seeing outside, walking in, and right in front is my grandma's bedroom. And to her left, there's 2 guest bedrooms. And my mom and I stayed the one next to her. So in this room, it used to actually be my mom's bedroom when she was younger, and she still lived in Mexico before she got married. So it's kind of cool that she still has that same room. So this room had no window whatsoever. So mind you, in the summertime it gets hot, and when you don't have a window to have like airflow, it feels suffocated, right? And you couldn't leave the door open to like vent out throughout the day because mosquitoes would get in, and at night they would eat you alive. And the mosquitoes down there are so bad. You get bit and you get like bumps. So it's not like a regular mosquito bite where they suck your blood and then you're off and then you kind of like feel itch. No, it will like, they will eat you alive. So we had to keep the door closed, and we had like bug spray or whatever, but you couldn't just leave it open. So this particular night, we had all said goodnight. We had gone to like our rooms to fall asleep, which we did. And it was about, I want to say like 3 a.m., around 3:15 that time around. But I don't know if you guys believe in this, but it's known to us that it's at 3 a.m. it's like the devil's hour. So that has always scared me ever since I was a little girl. Even to this day, like if I wake up or I need to go out of like my bedroom or whatever, I don't do it until like a couple minutes have passed by, just because I'm like, okay, it's 3 a.m. like it's the devil's hour. So at this time I had to go to the bathroom, but I was like, I'm not going quite yet. I was like, I was like, let me wait a couple minutes, which I did. So I waited a little while, and then when I felt comfortable going out, that's when I did. So my mom was across from me, and she was knocked out, which was fine. So then I opened the door really quietly, trying not to open or make too much noise to wake like my grandma next to us in her bedroom. So I went out, and like I said, right when you went out, you can see the door and you can see outside, which I was never a big fan. I'm like, I'm not gonna go outside, which the door was locked, but you can still see the outside, and it's like pitch black. So I walked out, and I'm passing my grandma's room, and I'm passing like the living area that used to be my grandpa's room, because I'm going to the bathroom, when all of a sudden I hear like I said, there was a table. So I felt like I felt like something was going on, and then I hear a chair being dragged. You know how when you like drag a chair and it like screeches at the bottom? That's what I heard. And I kind of just stood there not knowing where to look, because my grandma has like the door, but then there's like 2 big windows on the side. So I'm walking, and like on my right side there's that window, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if someone's there? And made a noise, because like outside of like the door, my grandma has like a little porch area as well, and I'm like, what if someone's there, right? So I kind of just froze, and I could feel chills down my spine, but I was too scared to look either to my right or my left, because I'm like, what if someone's there? So I literally took a deep breath, and as I let my breath, like I let it out, I heard it again. I heard the chair move again. And at this point, like I was so close to the bathroom, I'm like, okay, do I run to the bathroom or do I run back to the bedroom? Like, what do I do? And this felt like minutes have passed by, but it was like seconds. And I'm just like there frozen. And I'm like, what is going on? And like, I know it's just a chair that moved, but I was like, no one's here besides my grandma, my mom, and me. And my aunts are like at her home, which was like behind my grandma's house. was my aunt's home, and there's no way that like they were gonna come around and like I wasn't gonna be able to tell that they were there, right? So I'm just still looking, and until finally I got brave enough and I turned to the living area, because the chair, like I said, the chair was like in the table, and all of a sudden it was like switched to the side, like if someone like pulled it out to sit down. So I looked at it, and yes, that's what happened. The chair was pulled out like if someone was gonna sit in it. And I'm like, do I go back and push it back in, or do I just leave it? So I kind of started walking towards it. And I'm not the type of person to get scared too easily, but this freaked me out, because I'm like, how can the chair move all of a sudden? And there was no cats, no dogs inside. So I was like, who moved it? So I was going towards it, and I hear it again, and I'm like, okay. That's when I literally stood, and I could see the chair like moved, right? So I'm like, So I literally forgot about the bathroom, went back into the room, and I closed the door, and I sat down on top of the bed, and I'm like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? Am I like overthinking it? And like, am I asleep? Like, am I sleeping still? Like, I don't know. So then I wanted to wake up my mom, but she was sound asleep, and I was like, okay, you know what? You're gonna take a deep breath, and you're gonna fall back to sleep. In the morning, you'll figure it out, right? So that's what I did. I went back to bed, didn't think anything of it. And I woke up, and this time my mom was already up. She got up early to go with my grandma, and that was fine. So I did my bed, I went out, and I was like I was still kind of like looking at the area, because you had to pass it to go into the kitchen, and that's where I was going to get a coffee, but I was terrified. So I went to go grab my mom instead of going to the kitchen right away. I went to grandma. I was like, hey mom, like, do you need coffee? Like, do you want to come with me? And she's like, why? Like, you can go in there like every other day, right? So I told him, like, no mom, like, please just come with me. So she came with me to the kitchen, because I was like, I'm too scared to do this on my own. So I told her what had happened. I was like, hey mom, like, last night, like, did you hear a chair move or anything? And she's like, no. Like, what time? And I was like, it kind of happened around like 3:30. And she's like, no, it was sound asleep. What? And that's when I told her, like, everything, like the movement. And she's like, that's weird. I was like, yeah. So then my grandma kind of overheard, and she's like, oh, like, yeah, like, that sometimes can happen. And I'm like, what do you mean that sometimes happens? And she's like, yeah, we don't know if it's your grandpa, because I used to be his bedroom, that just sometimes moves a chair to sit down. And I'm like, what? And like I said, my grandpa has been dead since 2007, and obviously is my mom's dad. He passed away. I only got to see him a couple times before he passed away. So it has already been, like, at that time was already 10 years. And I would have thought that he would have moved on, or I hope he's moved on, and he's at ease, and he's just resting. But I wasn't like, I felt relieved if it was my grandpa, or if it is my grandma still roaming. Like, I hope he finds the peace that he's looking for. But at the time I was like, okay grandpa, like, that wasn't funny. Like, you could have warned me, I don't know. But it wasn't funny, because I was terrified, like terrified. So that was my first encounter that happened to me, and it was crazy. Okay, now, the second time, it was at the same house, and this was in 2018. So it was a year after this incident. And at this time, my mom had already had her home, right? So, you know, I said my grandma's house, and like behind my grandma's house is my aunt's. So my aunt's house is on the left, and my mom built, because her piece of land is to the right. So really close by. And at this time, it was also, I think my uncles had gone, and my cousin from Chicago, my cousin Ricardo, was there. And wait, no, scratch that. It was not during that time. It was not a December 2018. It was December 2019. Because I got confused, because my cousin was there in 2018, but it was still my grandma's old kitchen. And this was in her new kitchen. And she had just got it done when we went in December of 2019. So my cousin Ricardo wasn't there, but a couple more of my uncles did come from Chicago. So it was like a bunch of us that were there. And I remember it happened in the kitchen, because like I said, it was in my grandma's new kitchen, right? So I woke up, I said good morning to everybody. I went inside the kitchen, and like the kitchen has like a door, and then it's like my mom's house. So you could walk in instead of walking all the way around and going into the front door. So we were all like saying good morning, and I went in to grab a coffee, and no one was in the kitchen, and I could hear them outside because like I just had passed by and I said good morning, and I went in to get my coffee so I could join them, right? So I'm walking in the kitchen, and like my grandma has like this pillar inside like the middle of the kitchen, and I'm walking towards it, and all of a sudden I feel a push. Like if someone, like, you know how they push you and you kind of go forward? That's what I felt. And I kind of just stood there, and I turned back and I was like, hey, like I thought it was one of my cousins or my uncle or someone just had pushed me to be funny, right? When I turned around, there was no one. So then I was like, maybe I bumped myself next to the pillar. Like maybe I hit the pillar and that made me go forward. I don't know. So I'm going again towards the little pot where I had hot water to give myself in a cup, right? So all of a sudden I feel a handprint, like a hand lean on my shoulder, and I specifically remember it was this shoulder, and I felt it go like heavy, so it made me go this way. Like I felt like someone had pulled me down, and I got shivers from like my head to my toes. Like I just felt just like goosebumps all down, right? And I looked from the corner of my eye like that, and there was no one there, like no one. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? Like, is it my grandpa again, or is it something going on differently? So I kind of just froze with the hand with the pot of hot water and my cup like right like this. So I sat him down, and I got the courage to turn around. But before turning around, like I thought it was like one of my cousins or my uncle, because I could hear them outside, because I was not that far away from them. So I thought that they had just, because the door was open, so I thought they just like snuck in and I didn't hear them, but they weren't. So I got the courage, I turned around, and as I turned around, I felt this cold breeze just like fly in, like, and I felt it, and I kind of just like pushed me back, because I'm like, it's not cold. Like it was cool in the morning, but there wasn't any wind going on, so this air could have not just came out of nowhere. Like I didn't expect it. So I am standing there, and I literally just like didn't even grab my coffee, and I ran out. Like I ran out like scared, and my uncles were like, are you good? And I was like, oh yeah, like, and then they're like, where's your coffee? And I'm like, oh, I decided I didn't want one, because it's almost like, I don't know, like I made up an excuse. And I went and grabbed my mom, and I was like, Mom, I'm like, remember how like when I told you like the chair moved and they said that it could be my grandpa? Well, this just happened to me. I was like, I felt like someone pushed me, and then I felt their hand lean on my shoulder, and I like freaked out. And she was like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, because at first I thought that I had hit the pillar, but I didn't. Like, if the first time I did hit the pillar, like there's no way that the pillar was gonna like lay on my shoulder without me noticing, right? So she's like, okay, like if like whatever it is, just say like a prayer for them. That's what I did. I said a prayer, and I was like, spirit or ghost or whatever, like leave me alone. Like do not get attached to me. Like I do not invite you in at all. I was like, I'm okay. Like yes, you scared me, but I was just like, what is going on? So that definitely freaked me out. But besides those two like experiences, I have not encountered any more. Thank God. I'm just like, please, no more scary spookiness. Oh, a side note, my grandma has like dogs at her house. That are kind of like guard dogs, you could say, for just safety. And I remember at night when we're all like going back to like our place, they all go to like one corner and they just start barking. Like barking mad crazy. But there's nothing there because we've gone to them, and they're like nice dogs, obviously, like if they know us, but if they don't know you, like they could be a little terrifying. So we went there and we're like, what is going on? Like, is there something there? We went, and they're just like looking at like a corner and just going mad shit crazy barking. There's nothing there, and I'm like, That's suspicious. Like, why are they doing that? So I'm like, we're not doing this again. And still to this day, they still do that. They still bark at some like corner, and I'm like, okay. I don't know. But yeah, those are my 2 encounters that I've experienced. My mom and dad have told me like scary stories, especially my dad, like where he lives and like my grandparents live. Like there's some spooky shit there. And I believe it more because like they literally live on like a ranch and there's not anything really surrounding them. So I'm like, for all you know, like there could be someone that got killed there and buried close to the land and their spirit still haunts or whatever. But I have stories for those. I don't know. Let me know if you guys want to hear those, or maybe one day like I'll record my mom or dad telling me their experiences, because that will make you like freak out. But that's gonna be the end of the video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope I wasn't all over the place trying to give you guys the layout of it. So if you guys liked it, please don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, turn on your post notifications so you're notified when I upload. But yeah, like I said, these were my 2 like scary moments like that I encountered. I don't have an explanation for them. I'm really hoping that if it was my grandpa, that at that time that he's better now, or maybe he just still likes to see my grandma or something, or where he lived his life, you know. So I just, like I said, I don't mess with ghosts. I don't mess with the evil life. I don't do witchcraft. I never played the Ouija board, and I don't plan on doing that because like I said, I'm a strong believer that this stuff does happen. But enough about that. So please give it a like, and like I said, I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.